This is Mrs. Majkut's Top 10 of 2018. We'll start with Scythe by Neil Shusterman. This is dystopian fiction. Disease has been eliminated, and the only way to die is to be randomly killed by professional reapers or scythes. Two teens compete with one another to become a scythe, but neither of them really wants that position. The much anticipated sequel has just hit shelves. The Last Black Unicorn by Tiffany Haddish. This is an adult autobiography by the up and coming comedian and actress. You may have seen her hosting Saturday Night Live, doing stand up, or in the movies. She shares her difficult childhood in foster care and living in her car in Los Angeles as she makes her way up in Hollywood. Be prepared to laugh until you cry. This is a hysterical read with some mature content. Next up is Pashmina by Nidhi Chanani. This is a gorgeous debut graphic novel. Priyanka is an Indian American girl living with her single mother in Southern California, and she finds a mysterious cashmere pashmina scarf tucked away in a forgotten suitcase. When she wraps herself in it, she's transported to a place more vivid and colorful than any India guidebook or Bollywood film. This fantastical novel allows the main character to learn more about her heritage and more about why her mother left India in the process. Dear Martin by Nick Stone won several awards this year. This is realistic fiction about a young African American teenager named Justice. Justice attends a mostly white prep school and is college bound for one of the Ivies. He has a negative experience with police and is troubled by the amount of racial tensions he sees and experiences. He starts keeping a journal in which he writes letters to the late Dr. Martin Luther King and asks him, how did Dr. King continue to turn the other cheek in the face of adversity? Orbiting Jupiter is a middle grade novel with 188 pages that packs a powerful punch by Gary Schmidt. The main character, Joseph, ends up in a foster care setting after assaulting a teacher and has had a really troubled background in life. The foster brother that lives with him, the story is told from his eyes, and this one will get you. Get the Kleenex. Orbiting Jupiter by Gary Schmidt. Next up is Kindred by Octavia Butler. This has actually been re-released as a graphic novel after the original science fiction title. It's the story of Dana, a young Black writer who is suddenly and inexplicably transported from her home in the 1970s California to pre-Civil War in the South on a plantation via time travel. Dana does not know why this is happening until she meets someone in her past and understands why immediately. Powerful retelling of the original. Brave by Svetlana Chimakova is the sequel to last year's graphic novel Awkward. However, it stands on its own as an enduring look at adolescent angst, navigating school and challenging social situations. The best part about this book is when the main character, Jensen, decides to stand up for himself and his peers. The Notorious RBG. This is a nonfiction biography that really takes a look at the life and times of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It uses the music and inspiration of the late rapper Christopher Wallace, otherwise known as the Notorious B.I.G. Fans of RBG and B.I.G. will enjoy this profile of the feminist pioneer and her fight for gender equality and civil rights. Born a Crime by Trevor Noah is an autobiography of the late night comedy king about his upbringing in South Africa under apartheid. His mother was African and his father was Swiss German. When Trevor was born, he was kept hidden by his mother because his biracial birth was an actual crime in the 1980s in that era. She oftentimes pretended that she was his nanny. An incredible look at the twilight era of apartheid with lots of comedy woven in. Lastly, we've got Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. This is a fascinating horror and zombie fiction title taking place after the Civil War. Jane McKean was born 2 days before the dead begin to walk the battlefields of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, derailing the war between the states and changing the nation forever. Now, laws like the Native and Negro Education Act require certain children to attend combat schools to learn to put down the zombie dead. This is a highly anticipated title of the summer. Lastly, Because You Love to Hate Me, 13 Tales of Villainy. We get a lot of requests for fractured fairy tales, anything that revisits childhood folk tales and fairy tales as we remember them. This is a short story collection of classic fairy tales and stories from Medusa to Sherlock Holmes, retold from the villain's point of view, providing a unique new perspective of good and evil turned on its head. So, that's my top 10 for summer 2018. Check them out at the public library, the Albany High School Library, or Overdrive. Stop by and see us. We'll get you one of these titles. Thanks.